Hey everybody, how's it going? We are back with episode 3 of the Survival of the Artist podcast. And today I have a very special guest because she happens to be a friend of mine and a former coworker. And one time we did a thing with music in Manhattan. One time we went to Nashville together and covered the Dove Awards. And one time I interviewed her with an iPhone very quickly. Um, so, without further ado, Jeannie Ortega, the singer, the TBN Salsa personality, the Christian Post writer, the, dare I say, real life, not internet friend of mine, is a guest on the podcast. What's up, Jeannie?
Woo!
Come on, that's a top 10. That's a top 5 intro, at least.
That was great, man. That was great. That was also very funny. I love the title, man. Survival of the Artist.
Yeah, I know.
Isn't that real?
Yeah, and an artist can't survive, so that's why we have regular jobs. But maybe we're trying to solve something on this podcast. Actually, the whole moral of the podcast should be like question number 10: what do you do to survive as an artist? Get a job.
Exactly.
That's the real moral. But anyway, I know a lot about you. Jeannie and I worked together for 2 years. Only 2 years.
I can't believe it was only 2 years. Wow.
And this was only, I guess, 3 years. Oh wow, 3 years ago, 2 years ago now. Time flies. But we worked together as editors for the Christian music website breathecast.com, and it was kind of our baby. And then our baby went away. We gave our baby up for adoption. And
I'm still scarred.
moved on to we think about that baby every day, and we're like, where are you, beautiful baby out in the world?
Yeah.
But we moved on to other babies, I guess. But I actually had a baby.
A real one.
Yeah, she's sleeping. That's why we're podcasting after 10 o'clock. But anyway, so I know you, but for everyone else, who are you? What do you do? What is your claim to fame?
Well, okay. I am from Brooklyn, New York.
BK.
And I guess what I'm most known for is for being a singer. I had a top 25 Billboard pop hit song years ago, and that was kind of my claim to fame, opening act for Rihanna, toured the world for years, really with that record, and just really, I was on a journey to just make it big and get out of the hood and, escape from my reality. And it happened. The song was Crowded. That was the hit song. And then in the midst of that, I wound up just really realizing that even though I had all this success and money and all these things that I thought I wanted, I was still pretty empty. And, really found myself looking for more and that the world couldn't give me. And I'm so grateful because I feel like God really put a hold in me and kind of hooked me in to keep me from going off the deep end like we see artists do all the time when they're not fulfilled with what they're doing. So, yeah, I just pretty much my life redirected, found purpose in a relationship with God and just trying to figure out what that was going to be like. And then eventually started singing again. This time my content was different. But in the midst of all that, when you have so much success and all of that, and then you switch gears and you want to do something positive and that's going to influence the world for good, your budget also dwindles. And that's kind of what happened with me. And yeah, fast forward through, a couple years of just trying to figure out what was my place now in this world as an artist, with a positive message. That's when I really felt led to find a job because it's a whole different ball game than it was even when my first album came out, which was about over 10 years ago now, which is crazy, makes me feel super old. But yeah, the industry is so different. So even making money for any artist is so different than it was then. So as time passed, I found myself trying to survive in this new industry, in this new world, and then also with a new message. And that's how I started to work for Breathcast. I'm like, well, what am I good at? Well, I'm good at media, I think, because I've always been on the other side of media,
Right.
being interviewed and all of that. So I figured, well, I have real life experience. So let me look for companies that are doing positive things, in media. And I found Breedcast in New York. What are the odds? And that's how I met you, Justin. And then, yeah, and then in the midst of that, it all developed. You were super instrumental in just really helping me grow as a writer. Not because I've always been a songwriter and I've always written creatively, but never as a journalist
Stop being
or
nice.
yeah, I mean things like that. So Justin, you definitely trained your girl. You know what I mean? Really helped me just kind of learn the basics of how to even write articles and stuff like that. And I guess now I do consider myself a journalist. It's been about 4.5 years in this field, which is crazy. I can't believe I'm even in this field still. Um, but yeah, even that's evolved because I released another record, which now I have 3 albums out. And then with my latest album, I was on the hit Christian network TBN for their new channel TBN Salsa, and they asked me if I wanted to host my own TV show. So now I'm a TV host. So I don't know
Nice.
what it is I am, but I'm all these different things, and it's fun.
Yeah, yeah, that's funny. I'm going to share the story of me meeting you, um,
Okay,
because
good.
I think it makes for good podcast material. Um, so they hand me the company that we were at, CMC, hands me the reins of a website, and they're just like, here you go. Figure this out, and I'm like, okay. Um, so it's just me, and I get a resume put down next to me, and the boss is like, "Hey, there's this woman coming in tomorrow. She said she's a singer. Her name is Jeanette Ortega, Jeanette Ortega Law." And I'm like, okay. But then I'm reading the resume and I'm looking and I see like the Disney and I see the Billboard song. And then I was like, holy crap. I was like, wait a second. And I said to my boss, I was like, come here. And I pull up your song Crowded on YouTube. And I was like, that's her. I was like, I used to listen to that song. She's
Oh my
coming here
god.
to work tomorrow. And he's like, I guess it kind of looks like her because the video on YouTube is a little grainy. So then I think I looked up your Facebook page and I found you, and
Um,
it was you. And I remember we were talking, and then at some point I think I was like, yeah, I know who you are. And then
yeah.
you were forced to sing at our like company Christmas party or something,
Oh,
like 2 days into the whole thing.
yeah. It was. Yeah, I think it was my second day of work, and because word had got around the office that I was a singer. Yep, you guys asked me to put everything to sing.
They
Like
were
it
probably
was a
just like, "Yeah,
Christmas.
this girl can." I mean, we just heard this girl sings. Like, they probably didn't even know that you were like a singer. They were like, "Oh, she's probably pretty good." Like, everyone. There's at least one person in the office who could probably like belt out a tune, right?
Exactly, and that's funny because I really didn't want to. I was so uncomfortable. I didn't even know anyone, and it's not like everyone was warm because it wasn't like that at all. You were the nicest person in the office, and I get put on the spot, and I just, well, after I get pushed enough, I'm like, well, I have to do it. So I just sang a little bit. I don't even remember what I sang. It was a Christmas carol. And
Yeah.
everyone in the office was like raving. I was like, I was whack. Like I was just trying to be nice and sing so y'all can shut up.
Now, obviously, like I haven't had nearly as much success in my music career, but is there anything worse than people just being like, "Hey, sing," or Oh, you
Oh
rap
God.
rap something, and you're like, Nah, I
Oh,
can't." Especially me, like, I'm used to being on stage with a band, so if I'm just by myself, I'm like, "Alright, if you throw, like, a band behind me, I'll do something for you." But I'm not like a solo guy who stands up here
well,
and does
the
it. I was
funny
like,
thing is that
I cannot do it."
it's crazy because I feel like the funny thing is that I've sung in crowds of thousands and thousands of people, and it's still so different when like a small group of people ask you to sing in a room. Like it's not the
Yeah, it's
same, and
scary.
even yeah, you get scared, you have fears. Like it doesn't matter how much you've done this or how professional you are. There's always a weird thing that happens. Seriously.
I was getting a little bit of like pre-interview jitters just being calling you to talk to like someone I know. So like this is like I really can't do anything without a band. I can't do any sort
That's
of speaking without a band. It's really funny.
Where's your backup band? We need a backup band for this podcast,
Yeah,
man.
they all live pretty close to me. I should call them over. God, can you just sit in the room while I interview people? Don't even give them a headset, like they're just listening to me talk sporadically.
Oh my gosh. That's hilarious.
A lot of people that I talk to, I kind of speak to them like, where, how did you get to where you are now, or at least at a place where you feel you're most successful? But you kind of have tasted that success in the past. So back then, did you ever feel like that was your pinnacle, or did you feel like like this is where I could go next? Like, what were you striving to be? Did you get to where you wanted to be, or did you want to go further? I think what I was
This
trying to
is a good
say
question.
in like
Yeah, this is
15
a good
sentences.
question. Yeah, because I legit fulfilled the dreams that I had for myself at the age of 19. Like, I had already fulfilled my dream,
Right.
which was so crazy. So, my life pretty much started to transition at around 21, whereas when I had to change and everything, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna really just do things for God and really just like make a positive impact in the world and not just do what I'm told to do as a puppet, of the industry, which often happens to pop artists.
Yeah.
So, I'm like, all right, well, I already fulfilled my worldly dreams, my aspirations. I was wealthy. I had a top hit song. I was touring, you know, I made it out the hood. Like that was it for
Yeah.
me. But then when my, when, you know, um, when my goals changed and my heart changed, I'm like, all right, well, now I had different goals. And, I think honestly, I think as an artist, if you ever get to the point where you feel like that's it, you've made it, then you might have lost your creativity.
Yeah.
Because I don't
That's a good
know,
point.
like I feel like, art is growing. It's always evolving. It's kind of even like being a Christian, to be honest, because I feel like if you're a Christian and you're stagnant, then you're not really a Christian, because like your walk should go from glory to glory, and it should always be growing because it's living. It's a living, active relationship, and I feel the same way about creativity. So, for me, I had definitely fulfilled the goals that I had in my head, but as you continue to grow and dream and get, different ideas, of course you get, things evolve and you're like, all right, well now I have this goal and this that I want to do. So, I feel like, did I ever hit my pinnacle? It's funny because I guess that's relative, right?
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
your goal is to if my goal was to become a famous pop star, um, whatever, and that was it, then I did that, But I feel like my goal, even before came to faith, was I want to change. I want to make it like a change in the world. I want to impact people's lives. And, for me, I think I'll be doing that till I die. And as long as I feel like I'm making an impact in people's lives, I feel like I'm being successful. And with
Yeah.
everything that I'm doing now, like I've never, ever made such an impact in people's lives the way I do now. And it's really weird because it's not even like I thought I would. I have my music, and that's one way that I make that I'm able to reach out to people, and they can connect with me and cry with me and feel with me, because that's the type of artist I am. I like to write, what I feel, what I'm going through,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. And they can do that way. But then even as a television host now, where I'm able to get other people on my show and share their stories and their battles and their journeys, that's another way that we're connecting with people through those messages. And then even working, as a reporter, which, all the time I'm always like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing in this job? And even thinking like, is this where I'm supposed to be? And I always say this, I'm like, God, as long as you give me the grace to do it, I'll do it. And just recently I was able to sit down with Jim Caviezel, who's one of my favorite actors. I sat down with Denzel Washington, who is
Yeah.
my favorite
Yeah,
actor
that's
of all
awesome.
time. And to be able to hear these men that I look up to, and I interview women too, but I feel like these two particular actors are like, two of my favorites, and their hearts for God and to share a message that was beyond themselves was just so beautiful and rich and encouraging and inspiring. That when I'm able to take their messages and put it on paper, or put it, digitally on paper, because that's the world we live in, and share with thousands and thousands and thousands of people. Like, to me, that's hitting those pinnacle moments where I'm like, wow, God, thank you. Like, what I do is not in vain. Um, and although, you don't, as an artist, because even as a creative and a writer, you're not getting paid as much as you
Mm-hmm.
think you should, or what you hope you want to, you would want to get paid. But, I guess that's the payment. That is the payment. So, yeah, I feel like there's always, pinnacles and things happening as long as you're alive, and, you have that drive for more. You can you can continually feel that and not just flatline.
Yeah, that's solid. And speaking of, you saying you felt like you hit that pinnacle when you were a teenager, or just out of a teenager, like young 20s. I guess what would be your warning, or sort of your advice to, young artists who are starting to blow up now around that age, just on handling fame and
Mm,
dealing with this attention, and even something like, and I guess secondary, like managing the money, or managing your money, and the choices that you make, and those responsibilities. Because I feel like if you're making like millions of dollars when you're 20, you're like, oh well, I'm good, and then you might blow it all, and you may, be done when you're 21 or 22. um
yeah.
so something like that.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, so that's all good stuff, because like I'm the perfect um example of, like, I wasn't like, I didn't do, like, I wasn't getting robbed like TLC,
Yeah.
or those artists, which, oh, maybe I was, but it wasn't to that degree. You know what I mean? Because I
Mhm.
definitely wasn't educated enough in managing my money, or in knowing, where all my money was going, because I was a teenager. And, I didn't even know. So if I didn't know, I'm just like, you put everything in your business manager's hands and your manager's hands. But I definitely advise for, young artists to make sure that they are on top of their stuff and they know where everything is going and why. And as soon as they start making money, to really invest money, and to invest with that money, because um, that's another mistake that young artists make, is you just think you'll continually be making money, and you don't realize that, in this industry, in the entertainment industry overall, there's highs and lows, and there's people who constantly, are looking for that next gig, that next thing to help them sustain their living, And investing is major. And, I look back now and I'm like, dang, I should have bought property. I'm from Bushwick, and back then Bushwick was the hood and it was no good. And now Bushwick is like the next Manhattan with the prices of real estate and
Yep,
everything.
yep.
And I should have invested, and I didn't. And I didn't have people guiding me or really, somebody had told me, well, you should buy a house. But I'm like, nah, I didn't know, and I thought I knew everything at the time, and I didn't know any better. So I just kind of brushed them off, and they didn't push it. So here I am. I'm like, dang, I could have bought, something in Bushwick and really would have had a multi-million-dollar home right now in New York.
And
Um,
and what's crazy about that too is young and especially you are on a label, so you would think the label would sort of supply these things for you and be like, well, you know the money's going to so many different facets of a label that at least you would think some of that money would be designated to, hey, let's teach you about business and being wise with
yeah,
stuff. So I think that's a kind of a major difference with music today where things are more independently done and artists are more reliant on that because of you know this stigma of, hey, you shouldn't sign with a label. So it's kind of
yeah,
weird that the label offers you tons of money but maybe in the long run it doesn't work out, while the indie artist has no money to start, but whatever they create is theirs, I guess, and becomes
yeah,
their
yeah. And
success.
and it's why it's just so much better to, if you can do it that way, to do it
Hmm.
that way, because when you're on a label, and when I was on the major label, everyone is looking out for themselves. Like no one was looking out for little Jeannie's pocket, and I'm grateful because they did take care of me while I was there. I had a living expense because I was a teenager, so they were paying my rent
Hmm.
and that and some, every month. And but since I didn't have any guidance on how to manage the money, I was using it for like everyday things. I wasn't overindulging. Like I wasn't buying Bentleys and chains and all this stuff. I could have, but I didn't. I've always had kind of some sense that, for me, it was always, well, I had to live. I was paying for some of my family members,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
live comfortably, stuff like that. So it was always more of a generosity thing with my issue with, mismanaging money. But yeah, that's the thing I would say to artists. But I would also say, you know, take every moment in and don't, because what happens is when you get signed or your dreams start to happen, everything goes really, really fast
Yeah.
and it gets way ahead of you. So what you wind up doing is you just fast forward through your life, and you're not really living in the moment. And a lot of like, to be honest, my memory is shot. I hang out with friends that I've had for years or my siblings, and they're like, yo, remember that time? And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I don't remember.
It's
And
kind of
it's
like a
crazy.
wedding.
It's just,
It's kind of like a wedding.
yeah,
It's like a big
exactly.
party. It happens super quick and it makes everyone else happy. And then at the end of the day, you're like, what the heck did I just do? And I just went through all this
What
money and
just
I don't even
happened?
remember
Yeah.
anything.
Yo, that is the best way I've ever heard that. It is so true.
There you go. You can
It
have
is
it.
so, so true. Yes, I'm going to reuse that because that is so good. It's so true. That's really what it is. It's like a big event, a wedding or something that it happens and then you look back and like, oh man, what happened? Who was there? Oh, and that's kind of how it was. And, I guess that's super hard to do, but, you know, don't live like this is going to keep happening. Artists should really just appreciate where they are and remember and hold on to the things that they're doing when their dreams start coming true and stuff like that. Because, one day you'll look back and it will just be a memory or not, if you remember or not. In my case, I don't remember half of it,
You may have
but
even been
but I'm
doing everything
grateful.
right, but you just don't remember.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So I would definitely, money is a major factor, and just really enjoying the moment and really being wise. Not everybody that says they're for you is for you. And let's be honest, I mean, I would say no one is really for you. Everyone is for themselves. That's human nature. And if
Everyone's
you
got an
get, if you
agenda.
happen to have, yeah, if you happen to have an angel in your corner, then praise God, But even in the Christian industry now, I'm seeing it's pretty much the same thing. The people are probably a little nicer, but at the end of the day, there's an agenda. There's always an agenda. So you have to really protect the gifts that God has given you and hold on to it and value it and use it, and remember what you're doing. And so that's what I'd say.
Okay, well that's a good thing to say. So speaking of that moment, and multiple moments that you were speaking of, what was that one moment that you felt like a rock star that you're like, yo, this is it, I did it. Do you have one moment?
Let me think. I am so corny. My moments, because I'm so hood, like I grew up in the hood, so it's like my moments are probably so whack. They're not even moments that like a normal person should feel. Because I've had some really cool experiences, but I feel like the moments that I'm like, wow, that was amazing. It's like some super ghetto experience. Okay. I'm trying to think of what I should like, what I should say, and I'm gonna tell you what I want to say anyway. All right, so I'll tell you what I want to say because I definitely know. So I
Okay.
would say the first time I was on TRL, I went to MTV and my video was on TRL, the original TRL,
With Carson
the
Daly?
countdown. Yeah, but I didn't even know if he was there. Actually, he was still there, but he wasn't the host. It was oh gosh, I forgot her name. She was on One Tree Hill. Hillary Burton, was it her? I don't remember.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was somebody. Yeah, anyway, it was somebody else, and Bow Wow was the host. um, that was when my video made the the the,
The
the
countdown.
countdown.
What number? Do you
Um,
remember?
I think it was number 8. It was up there. It wasn't like top 5 or anything, but it was the beginning. It had the song had just came out, too, and people were requesting it. So that was a moment, and that's not really a ghetto moment. That's like a real moment. But I would say another moment, which is my ghetto moment now, is when I went to 50 Cent's house in Jersey. There was a big bash, and yeah, I was invited as a guest because of what I was doing, and yeah, I was just like with everyone, like there was a bunch of celebrities there, and 50 has a club in his house, and I was just really feeling like I made it. Like here I am in this mansion with murals of 50 Cent, painted all over the walls, um, and hanging out with 50 and Papoose, and all these straight hood dudes, and I felt like I made it.
Well, if it makes you
I
feel
was
any
so,
better, 50 probably doesn't have a club in his house anymore. So
oh
so
man,
you probably had a very good experience there because
yeah,
I don't know, 50's not really popping anymore. But we still love you. We
yeah.
still remember what you did. We still remember when you
We
when you
do.
hung upside down in the video and Eminem was taking notes on you. We remember. Um, so
Oh,
so on the reverse side, what do you feel looking back throughout your career is your biggest failure or your biggest regret?
it's so weird because I feel like if everything didn't happen the way it happened, I wouldn't be where
Right.
I am. And I'm so grateful for where I am because ultimately, like I have purpose. And before, while I was in the pinnacle of my career, like yes, I was on tour with Rihanna. I was doing all these cool things that maybe other people might think were the pinnacle, of their careers and stuff. But for me, I was just like, whatever. Like I was just doing what I did. Um, and so I would say I know that my career would have been different, and I'm not sure if if it was a failure or not. I'm not sure, but I remember I had asked. We did like a survey and we had asked people what song, what they thought should be my first single, and it was between "Crowded," which was my top 25 Billboard hit song,
Mm-hmm.
and another song called "So Done." And "So Done" was like it was it was a certified like top 50 pop song. Um, kind of like what JoJo was doing back in the
Yeah,
time,
yeah, yeah.
or like it was totally like young girls, we're gonna get it, we're gonna buy it. It was one of those songs, like it was a total hit song. It really was.
And you got to think about,
Um,
and this time it's like the ringtone era too. So this was a
yeah,
song that was going to be, playing when people's phones were ringing and like that. Like there was no streaming yet. So like this
yeah,
everything moved like so differently, which is crazy because it's not that long ago.
yeah. It's crazy. I know we're in a whole new world. Yeah. So we did a little poll on MySpace at the time,
Yeah,
and
MySpace.
yeah, and we asked, and trust me, my label had to fight with me to get on MySpace. They're like, I ain't going to no damn website to share with people, and y'all not having my password. Like that was me. I was so stubborn. But eventually I caved and I loved it, and I was super vocal, kind of like in an ignorant way. I used to get in trouble all the time. It's like, you need to remove that now, or you're going to offend the person you're on tour with. And I'm like, oh, sorry. But anyway, we did a poll on what song the fans thought should be the first single, and because "Crowded" was more of the singer, um, people were voting that song, and I wanted that song to be my first single because it was more me. It was more, I was rough around the edges. I was still a girl and stuff, but I was rough around the edges, and I felt like "Crowded" was more in your face, and it kind of showcased who I
Yeah,
was. But "So Done," I know it would have been a bona fide hit. Could have been a gold hit song. Well, actually, "Crowded" was gold on radio, but like I felt like "So Done" was going to be my career defining song, but I felt like let's not start with that because it's not fully me.
right.
So we made the decision with the fans to go with "Crowded," and "Crowded" was great, and as you heard, like I got on the Billboard charts. It's how I got on tour. It's how I did all these incredible things. But I think "Crowded" was a certain audience. Like only certain people were gonna play
Right,
into
right.
"Crowded." And I felt like "So Done" was more of the broader audience. And, I didn't know that, I wouldn't have that chance to really explore what that single would be like. We started with another song first. That was like the Feeler single, which did well, helped me get on the map, um, which was "Got What It Takes." And then "Crowded" was officially kind of my second single, and it was a hit. And then "So Done," we were starting to go to radio with it, but that's when the whole industry changed.
Yeah,
And and also I changed.
yeah,
I wasn't that tough girl that they signed anymore either. Now I was like, yo, I'm in love with God, and I wanted to talk to people about God, and I was like wasting their studio money, like straight up evangelizing to people in the studio about God because I didn't know you could feel God. I was just having so much fun, just sharing God with others that I didn't realize I was wasting money in studio time. I'm just like,
They're like, "Yeah, that's
you
that's
know,
that's nice and all, but can you maybe do this after you record something?"
yeah. But I was like, no. But did you know you could feel God? Like I was very, I was overzealous and just so in love, and I wanted everyone to know. So eventually that didn't last long because they didn't sign a Christian artist. Signed a black girl from Brooklyn,
So
and
so
the industry was changing, and they didn't have time to waste money.
so the moral of the story is that fans don't know what they're talking about, and sometimes the fans shouldn't always get what they want. That's that's what
um,
that's what you're
I
telling
don't
me.
even know. Well, not even. It's because now it's a different world, right? So
Yeah,
now
yeah, yeah.
it's really the fans are gonna make or break you.
I'm
Back then,
kidding.
it was different, But I will say what's not different is this: radio is not different.
Right.
And that's unfortunate, because it is at the end of the day, what is radio going to play? And just because your fans want something and you want something, doesn't mean radio's going to play.
Yep.
And, so it is.
All right. So how would 2006, 2007 Jeannie do if she was arriving into music in 2018, where there's streaming and you have to try to get yourself on a playlist to be heard and nobody knows what CDs are?
So 2007 Jeannie, or it was actually 2006 Jeannie, right? I was super ratchet. So,
That might
it's
work in
funny
your
because I
favor
was
now.
saying,
You would have been like a trap.
that's
You
what
could
I'm
have been like a
saying.
trap pop art. You could have been like Cardi B.
I was just going to say that. I was seriously just going to say that. I definitely, like, her lifestyle obviously is different, or was different than what mine was. Like, I wasn't stripping or anything like that, but I was just as ratchet though, my mouth and, my attitude. And, I look at if Tiffany Haddish and Cardi B, and like, let's see, and then maybe some other artists that probably, not as wild as those two came together, that would be me. Which would be great entertainment. It would be great for entertainment.
You probably would
But
have
I
had a
probably,
reality show.
yeah, which I did. I actually did. I shot a pilot for a reality show back then. Totally did. We could have been the Kardashians, me and my family.
The Ortegas.
Yeah. Um, yeah, but I was just as blunt and open and all that. So it would have been great for entertainment, but it would have been horrible for my reputation probably, and I probably would have ruffled a lot of feathers because
Hey,
we live in such a politically correct world these days.
you. I mean, you're a journalist now too, so you would have been dominating headlines. So you would have been doing everything right, honestly.
Yes.
Um, but let's move to journalism now because
Okay.
you've been on both sides of it, and I'm sure you never would have imagined that you would go there, as you said before. Um, I guess what do you see differently as a journalist coming from the music side and now covering music or entertainment?
So I'm going to be 100% honest. Before I became a journalist, I had never really respected journalists, or
Tisk
reporters
tisk.
or media people, like to the degree that I should have. I always looked at people in the media as what the public, description of people in the media is, like kind of the paparazzi are always
Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
come at you and get the headline, or, or can kind of, try to sleaze their way into getting you to say something, whatever.
Which is some
And
of it. Which that it's
yeah, which
fair.
is,
It's fair. It's some
it
of it.
is, yeah, it is. But I kind of didn't look at media people or journalists as people. I was just like, they're
We're
media.
we're not
It was
we're not
it was a
people.
weird thing. It's super weird. It was like they're media. It's like you got to be on guard. You have to, you didn't treat them like regular people that could level with you or understand what you were going through or feeling. So when I became a reporter and got into the media, I was determined to be a person. Now, I do feel like sometimes even, you know, me, like now as a reporter, and, I'll go to events and I'm standing around people and I'm like, it's kind of like a job. It's not really a personal thing, but for me, it's like I'm determined to ask people what I would really want to know, and I want to level with them as a human.
Yeah.
And I feel like they get it, which is weird. Like I feel like immediately the wall comes down, like that same wall that I have, I had with media, comes down, and they become a person, and they say things that they probably wouldn't normally say to people. And and so that's kind of my thing. Like I'm just like I'm determined to be a person. So that sometimes that means I protect people. Like they'll say some real off color something that I know can get them in a lot of trouble if I report on it, but I don't because what's the point? And then
Yeah,
especially
you can relate.
I do Christian media, so it's like at the end of the day, if there's a Christian artist or actor or inspirational entertainer who says a real sideways comment, you know, what's going to be in the headlines is Christian actor, Christian singer, and it puts a bad name to Christian and Christianity and Christ, which is doing a disservice to everybody. So
Yeah,
that's just my approach. I have colleagues who do differently, but at the end
yep.
of the day, I gotta go to sleep at night and look myself in the mirror, and I gotta go to institute. So that's what I do.
Yeah, that's sort of the like the catch 22 of Christian media, where it's like people are like, you have a job to teach people, and bring people closer to God with what you write. And but also, if you're a journalist, your job is supposed to be to report on exactly what happened. So
Yeah,
it's like a fine line of trying to figure out, how can I do this without ruining everything and messing everything up. And
yeah.
all it takes is for you to just hit publish, and then you're like, let me change my mind. 10 minutes later, you unpublish, but maybe already a bunch of people read that or did
Oh,
something,
believe me,
or you
I
get the
know.
email from the publicist, be like, what's wrong with you? Like,
Yeah,
what's wrong with me? What's wrong with your person that's saying all this crazy stuff? I thought it was
yeah,
funny. Well, we didn't think it was funny. Well, you should have told me that before.
yeah.
But
So true.
now from journalism, now you're, as you said, you're hosting your own show on TBN, and I'm wondering, like, do you get to have any creative control of what you're doing on there, or is it a very set format?
Oh no, it's completely my show, so I can do whatever I want.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
So like, how
I'm
often?
actually trying to get myself to be more creative with it and not be so standard because I'm so used to following rules and I don't want to like step on anyone's toes that I'm like, okay, well, like I feel myself, a little constraining myself and I'm like, no, I can be creative. I can do whatever I want. So,
Yeah, it's instant, like instant creativity because you get to plan your whole show. We had a show back in the day that was kind that was for the most part, um, allowing us to do stuff, but we just had zero budget. That was
yeah.
that was the main problem. Um,
Yeah.
but okay, so now we talked about you being on camera. We talked about you being a writer. We talked about your music in the past. So what about the music in the present day, Jeannie? I know you came out with an album 2 years ago now, right? Produced by
Yeah,
Aaron
I can't
Rice.
believe that. What happened?
I
Time go that
heard it
fast.
in Nashville myself,
You
in
did.
Aaron Rice's
You were
house.
the first.
I did hear it. I had that VIP insight. This is why you got to be a journalist, everybody listening. You get to do really cool things. I mean, you get no money for it, but you get to do really cool things. So at least you could tell your grandkids, I wasted my whole life not making any money, but I did some real cool things.
Exactly. um, so that's great that you asked me what I'm doing now because I actually am doing something and it will be out this year. So
Oh man.
basically, I've released 3 albums in my life so far from the age of I'd say from the age of 17 years old till now, 31, um, I've been writing songs and creating music. So my catalog, I have over 200,000 songs. I mean, not 200,000, sorry.
I think you're
That
lying.
would be amazing.
I think you're
That would be
lying.
amazing.
You're quite
I would
prolific.
have, I have over 200 songs. I'm sorry.
Much better.
And yeah, that's more believable. Um, and so basically each album had either 12 or 11 songs, right?
Hmm.
So a lot of my material has never been heard before, never been out before, and Um, I have, there's material that I thought, like really good songs, content, but for whatever reason it didn't make the album, or, I was in transition between a label and being an independent artist, so I wasn't sure if I can use the song,
Yeah.
or for whatever reason, right, the song doesn't see the light of day. So here I am, 31 years old now, and there's tons of songs people have never heard. So I feel like all the songs people have heard are kind of um, the polished Jeannie. After all is said and done, these are the top of the top, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's a lot of fill-in tracks that like really explain my story and my journey. So for this year, what I'm doing is I'm going to release a mixtape. And it's called Road to 31, and it's going to be 31 unreleased Jeannie O
Whoa.
songs.
Talk about making up
from the
for some lost time there.
from the past 15 years of my life. So yeah, a decade and a half of music, and because it's 31 songs, I know there's going to be people that only listen to the first 10 songs, only listen to the middle, 10 songs, and then only listen to the back half 10 songs. And it's actually fitting because each one of the songs, from 1 to 31 will be my journey from 1 to 31. So it'd be from the age of 17 years old, before I became a Christian, before, I understood what my purpose was. So there'll be songs about that, navigating through relationships and
That's cool.
heartbreak and parenting and, and like leaving my house for the first time, like leaving the nest, and then, here I am, I'm famous, I'm doing all these things, and everyone wants to pull me this way and that way. But, I'm an individual and I'm a person, and I want, whatever. I want people to know that I'm of value. And then, wow, what is this? Like, there's more to life. Like, I come to faith, and I realize that I do have purpose, and my brokenness can be healed. So my entire journey will be in these songs, and a lot of it will be just the in-between songs. Some of the songs that were maybe just a little too honest for the record, or, whatever. But it'll be 31 songs, and the whole idea of Road to 31 is just my road from who I was to becoming that Proverbs 31 woman that, um, that you hear from in the Bible, where, it's a goal, because I'm not there yet. I'm
Mm-hmm.
still trying to be that woman where, where I really understand my full worth, and I love the way, God intended me to love and stuff like that. So yeah, it's gonna be real.
So
It'll be interesting.
the songs are kind of just in their original form. Like, are you remixing them at
Yeah.
all, or
Nah, it's a mixtape, and that's the reason why I'm calling it a mixtape, because it's gonna be just some of the songs are raw. Like, some of the songs are just my home recording. Obviously, it's not gonna
okay?
be, it won't be unlistenable or whatever, if that's a word.
It is.
You'll be able to, okay, you'll be able to vibe with it. If you have super critical ears, maybe you'll have a problem with it, but that's why it's called a mixtape. So there'll be songs to stream, and I'll have them on my website. And like I said, I feel like people are going to gravitate to the period in time where they are in their own lives. So I think there'll be something for everybody, and I'm excited just to get music out. For years I have friends that are like, "Yo, please send me that track. You never released it, and I'm fiending to hear that song." And I really feel like they inspired me, to release all this music, because there's so many songs that I never released. So now everybody will get to
Yeah,
hear
yeah. I
the
know
in
how it is.
between.
I know how it is when you like really love an artist and they're your favorite artist, and you're just like, I need more music by them now, and then you find like some rare clip on YouTube from like an in-between session or like an unmixed thing, and you feel like you just found gold. And it could
Exactly.
sound like garbage, but you're like, it's new. It's new for me. It's even though it's like
Yeah.
25 years old or something like that. You're like, I found it. It's great. He recorded
Yeah.
he recorded it
That's the goal.
with an iPhone 1 or something like that. But
Exactly. That's the thing. That's the goal. So hopefully everyone will who listens to it will put on their hearing earmuffs. I mean their loving earmuffs before they hear it. So they can hear it from a place of love and really get the true heart behind it.
it's about the message, as always. So,
Yeah.
last but not least, I think you know what's coming because you probably say it too. Do you have anything else to add, talk about, or plug, even though you just plugged something?
Well, really, just the TV show right now and the music. So with the TV show, it streams every single day except for Saturday. So you can watch the show every day. It's either Sundays. I mean, yeah. So Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. The show you can go to tbn/salsa.org and you can stream live at 5:30 p.m. And then Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, you can watch it at 5:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that, obviously the times are different wherever you are in the country. But you can always get to see my show, and it airs 6 times a week, but it's only one show per week. So basically, if you miss it on Sunday, you can watch it on Tuesday. It's the same show. Yeah, so there's that. You could always just go to JeannieO.com. So Jeannie, JeannieO.com, and you can find everything there. The music will be on there. When the music is coming will be on there. The TBN Salsa link is on there. And yeah, I mean, my husband is gearing up to really start his own ministry.
Nice.
So I don't know what that looks like for my future. Never thought I'd be a pastor's wife, but God has a sense of humor.
Will that be a track on your road to 31?
Oh, I'm telling you, it's about to be number 31.
That's the deluxe
I still
edition.
have one track.
That's the deluxe edition you release when you're 32.
I'm telling you. Yeah, so there's that, and I'll still be creating music. So, be on the lookout for an official album, because that's me. I can't stop.
Yeah, we can't stop. And even though I should have stopped a long time ago, but I can't because we're all a little crazy. If you do music, you're all just a little bit insane and in for torture and pain. But hey, that's it. That's how you make the art.
I was just gonna say, if you're not suffering, and if it isn't coming from a place of pain, then it's not real, And you always know the artists that have been through stuff in their life, because their work is just a little more rich, It's just you're like, I felt that,
Justin, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a rock star. What's your backup plan? I want to be a music journalist. Oh God, help him. Help him. All right. So that's it. Jeannie Ortega. I'm going to drop some links below, wherever that is. I'm pointing down. You can't see me, but they will be below somewhere. This episode will be dropping soon, which doesn't matter because you're probably listening to it. So anyway, look out for Jeannie Ortega. Check out her Road to 31, which is coming. Check out her TBN Salsa show, In the Mix, correct?
Yep.
And I guess that's it. Thank you, Jeannie, for blessing us with
you.
Almost an hour of material.
Thanks. I could talk. Thank you, though.
Yeah, I
appreciate it.
I could talk too. You remember those really long interviews I like to do. So, but all right, that's it. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the Survival of the Artist podcast. This was episode 3. Stay tuned for episode 4. I don't know who that's going to be yet, but it's coming bi-weekly, just like every bi-week. Oh, I'm terrible. All right, goodbye.